Hello. Yeah, this is Pork Frog here. And I haven't talked about my CRPS for a while. So I, I was thinking some things and I thought maybe I'd do this as an exercise. Uh, the thing about having a serious illness is people like to feel bad for you from a distance. They like to say, oh, that's terrible, and not really be emotionally involved in it. So what that means is what happens is with your friends and family, they reach a breaking point where even though they're not suffering like you're suffering from the inside, from the outside, they can't hang with you anymore. So what happens then is you get pushed away or you get rejection. And that's very difficult to deal with, because that's why I guess that's why they have support groups. I never try to support groups or a support group thing for dealing with CRPS. But yeah, that kind of rejection is really tough to deal with, and I've been dealing with it for a couple months now, and I had dealt with it previously, but without going into detail, just to spare the other offending parties, give them a little anonymity. Uh, yeah, it was like all I needed was like a kind ear and like just somebody to connect with emotionally, and they were like a wall. There was like nothing there. There was scorn, there was judgment, there was coldness, there was, they put up a wall inside themselves to protect themselves, which is completely understandable. But the result that has on you as the person suffering with this disease is brutal. And so it's been a difficult couple of months for me. And I know that other people with CRPS have watched a couple of the other videos I made in other accounts. One that's this one Pork Frog 1, which I can't access anymore. And I made a couple, I think, with Joe Johnson, but it wasn't really speaking about the emotional component to CRPS, which is really difficult to deal with because it's such a peculiar disease with such weird symptoms that people don't understand it, and they don't understand. If I guess if you can't understand something, you can't get inside the other person and feel that compassion. So the alienation part, or the feeling separate from even people that your brothers and your sisters and your father and your mother, all the people that you've known your whole life, that alienation and that separateness that you feel, it's just a part of the disease. And it makes it really difficult if I like I'm having a conversation with somebody that's an intimate, somebody that's one of your core people, and you're talking about some heavy, nothing nasty about your symptoms, but you're talking about some of your deeper core emotions, and they're like, "Nah, I gotta go do this," or like, "I really need to go to sleep now," or "I really need to get something to eat." You're just getting pushed away again because they're like, you're going through that. That don't mean that I gotta go through that with you, you know. And what makes it doubly hurtful in my case is it's my nature to be that guy that, like, if you want to cry on my shoulder, like, I'll listen to you. I mean, I got all these problems myself, but if you want to, even while I'm thinking to myself, it's like, dude, you don't have any, those aren't really real problems, man. I could tell you about some real problems. I could tell you about waking up in the morning with a disease that there's no cure for, and knowing that your day is going to suck the minute you wake up, and having this whole history of pain and disease and surgeries that made things worse and all this horrible stuff. And then you got people crying on your shoulder about, things that are to everyday folks that are really serious problems. But to me, it's like, I wish I had those problems. I'll trade you in a minute. But I got to, be compassionate, and I have to listen to these people. And then when I come to them with even like a tenth of what's going on with me, and then they shut you down because they can't handle it. They can't deal with it. And I have like one guy that's a friend of mine that will go all the way down to the bottom of the well, I call it. He'll go all the way down into the misery with me, but uh, he's got a little thing with alcohol, so they taught us in a group that if you're medicating yourself, uh, you're not really feeling in the same way. Emotionally, you're not really feeling in the same way as a sober person would. So, everything's kind of, I don't want, it's very valuable to me, so I don't want to say anything bad about it, but it's not quite the same as having a sober person uh, go all the way to the bottom of the well with you into that deep pit of misery that you have to live in. But I guess the gist of why I'm trying to articulate this or put this on is just so people that are in my situation, they understand, they can understand that, that's not a personal thing. I mean, it hurts in a deep personal level, but that's not really a personal thing when people push you away and they don't, they can't handle it. Because after all, they have their own lives and their own pain and their own problems that are a big deal to them. And maybe that loads all they can handle at the time. But that kind of leaves you out in the cold. So I guess that's the purpose of support groups. But I never really got it. I've had this disease for 30 years now. 1986 or 1987, so it's probably 32 years. I haven't really ever pursued like a support group for it. I mean, I've been able to hang with it up until the last 2-3 years. And the last 2-3 years have been real brutal, and I've taken some losses. But I thought keeping stuff bottled up inside is never good. It's never good. So uh, I'm not one of them guys that have that sanctimonious belief that, the truth is always the best thing. Telling other people the truth is not always the best thing. They always say, they got this, like, they put truth up on a pedestal, like but you got to be true with yourself. You got to be true inside yourself, and to be true to yourself and true inside yourself, and you have to sometimes do this sort of thing. And since I'm the only one that will really listen to me, I'm just sitting there looking at myself in the camera, because people don't, they want to have fun. They want to see fun stuff. There's even another level of people that aren't your friends or your intimates that they're not going to watch this because they're looking for entertainment. This isn't, they don't want to think about, this could be you. That's one thing. It's like, I had a guy that moved in next door to me that's in a wheelchair, and I've got like difficulties walking. So, I was like, well, there's a reminder. It hasn't worked as a motivator or anything like that, but I was like, yeah, that could be me next door. I could lose my mobility. I could be in a wheelchair. I'm walking with the cane most of the time right now, and walking's kind of a dicey proposition. But yeah, people don't want to think about some of the harsh realities and possibilities in life because it's freaking terrifying. Even I'm like that too. I mean, I don't want to think about anything else that could go wrong with me, and I know better than most people that that's a real thing. Sickness, illness, death, all that's very real. That's something I live with every day. And so I don't expect anybody that's not suffering through something to watch something like this. Just some guy's ugly mug on screen talking about this stuff. But another aspect to me that really bugs me about this disease is I'm very content type of person, but you can't be content when you're suffering with a miserable, pain-generating neurological disease. And then I have it affects my heart, so I have constant fear that I'm going to go into AFib arrhythmia and maybe have a stroke or something like that. So, it's really a shame, I think, because I see other people that are walking around fine, and they seem to be relatively healthy, and they're completely miserable with their lives and stuff. And here I am, I'm pretty content uh, with myself, but you can't be happy. You're not going to be happy in a state where you're in constant suffering, because it never lets up. The first pamphlet I ever got and read about the disease I had, the subtitle to the pamphlet was it was called something different. It was called RSD back then, but it's like the pain that won't stop. And I'm like, okay, that's not good. That can't be a good thing. So yeah, I was thinking I'll just leave this short, 'cause I think I wanted to just speak about the rejection thing that comes along with illness sometimes. But to keep this short, there's that expression that misery loves company. You know, we'll flip it around. Company don't love misery, and everybody loves a happy, smiling person, but they don't want to. They don't want to hang with that miserable SOB. They don't want to go there with you, and that can be even your intimates, the people that are closest to you, and that's something that you're going to have to deal with. So yeah, could subtitle this exactly that. Misery may love company. Miserable people may love to have people around them, but company don't love misery. Anyways, I don't really have any words of encouragement for myself. I just try to endure. I had a rough morning this morning. I wake up every morning and I don't, I have to reacquaint myself with the notion of having CRPS and everything. When you feel bad on top of it, that's rough. When you feel like really bad. And I had a rough morning this morning. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. So, I don't know what to title this, and I don't, maybe 100 people will watch it in 4 years anyway, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is more or less me talking to me, and if you can get anything out of that, good on you. So, yeah. Well, live and be well as you can be. God bless.